Cassie here. Welcome back to my channel, and today I am super excited to get to share with you my TBR for the month of May. Now, for those of you who don't watch my vlogs, you might not know that I am going to be doing a read-a-thon. A read-a-thon? No, that's not a thing. I'm going to be doing a read-a-thon for the month of May. So my read-a-thon is just a challenge to myself to see how many books I can read in the month of May, and coupled with that challenge, I'm also going to be challenging myself to not use social media during that month. Obviously, that doesn't include YouTube because I'm going to be vlogging the experience, but I'm not going to be watching like a bunch of other people's videos on YouTube during the month because I'm going to be listening to audiobooks instead. But of course, I still will be uploading content and replying to your guys' comments, stuff like that. Basically, I'm just saying there are a couple exceptions to my no social media during the month of May, but for the most part, I'm going to be trying to limit that and instead replace it with reading and see how many books I can read if I do that. So I have come up with a list of 24 books, which may or may not be extremely ambitious. I really have no idea. I've never done any kind of reading challenge like this before, so I don't know if 24 books in a month is like insane, or if I can totally do that easily and I might read even more than that, or if it's like a perfect amount. I have no idea. So I might not get through all of these books, or I might read more than them. This is just kind of a basic guideline so I have some idea of what I want to read next month. So on this list of 24 books, I have 12 audiobooks, which is about 3 a week, 4 nonfiction books, which is 1 a week, and 8 hard copy books, which is 2 a week. And by hard copy, I don't necessarily mean like a physical book. It might be an ebook. I just mean that I want to read these books with my eyes, not in audio form. And for the 4 nonfiction titles, I might read them on like a hard copy, or I might read them on audio, depending on just what I decide in the moment. I don't really read a lot of nonfiction, so I wanted to make sure I'm reading at least a few of those, and I also have a couple titles on here that are a little bit different than the genres I usually read, because I wanted to take this opportunity to sort of expand my horizons into some new things that I don't normally read. But without further ado, let's get into listing all of these awesome titles that I'm gonna try to read next month. So starting off with the audiobooks, the first one on my list is The Astonishing Color of After by Emily X.R. Pan, I think. I wrote her name down on this list, and I can't read my own writing, but I think that's what it says. I have heard so many good things about this book, and I've been really excited to read it someday, but I just haven't gotten to it yet, so it's going on the list. Audiobook number 2 is Sadie by Courtney Summers. This is one I've also heard a lot of good things about, and I've particularly heard that it's a really good audiobook to listen to. I believe I heard that it has a full cast, which is something I've never experienced in an audiobook yet, so I'm really excited about that. And I've also been told that there's sort of a podcast element to the book that really comes out well in audio form, so I figured it would be a good one to listen to on audio. Audiobook number 3 is One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus. I recently read Two Can Keep a Secret, and I really enjoyed that, and One of Us is Lying was actually on my TBR before I ever heard of Two Can Keep a Secret, but they were reading Two Can Keep a Secret for the Booksplosion book club here on YouTube, and so I picked that one up first. Really loved it. Can't wait to read this other one. I was gonna say the next one, but I guess it's kind of the previous one because it came first. Next up on the list is The Sun is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. This is a book that's been on my TBR for a while, and I've heard a lot of great things about it. It sounds really interesting, and also they're turning it into a movie soon, which is a great reason to read it so that when the movie comes out, I don't have to like wait to see the movie until I've read the book, because I will have already read it. Next up is Forgive Me, Leonard Peacock by Matthew Quick. This was a book I actually discovered recently on my audio services app because I was just browsing for something to read next, and it sounded really interesting, but I was not the kind of book I was in the mood for at the moment because it sounds really heavy, and I was in the mood for like a fluffy romance. So it wasn't what I was looking for at the moment, but I put it on my Goodreads TBR because it definitely sounds like something I would really enjoy. So I'm excited about that one. Next up is Pride by Beebe Zoboy. I feel like there's no way that that's correct, but that's what I'm gonna say. I'm super excited about this one because I love Pride and Prejudice. It is one of my favorite books of all time, and it's been a long time since I've read it. I actually really want to read Pride and Prejudice again, but I don't know that I've ever read. Obviously, there are a lot of romances out there that have taken some tropes and kind of themes from Pride and Prejudice, but I don't know that I've ever read something that was directly a retelling of Pride and Prejudice, but like modern day, which I think is what this book is, and I'm super excited about it. Next up is One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This one is on my list mostly because I've heard great things about Taylor Jenkins Reid, and she has written a lot of books that sound interesting to me, so I kind of wanted to try something of hers. And this was one that I heard is really good. I mean, all her stuff I've heard is really good, but this one was a little bit more like in my, what am I trying to say? It sounds more like something I would typically enjoy, so I figured it might be a good one for me to start with. However, the next book on my list is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which is also written by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which I did not realize until I just looked up the authors a couple minutes ago. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have put One True Loves on here, because the only reason I put that on here was because I was like, oh, I want to read something by that author. But I already had Evelyn Hugo on here because everybody is ranting and raving about that book all the time. So I definitely want to read that one. But I'm gonna keep One True Loves on here because it does sound a little more like my typical story. Next up is To Best the Boys by Mary Weber. This is another book I heard about from the Booksplosion book club. I think this might be the one they're doing right now, or they might be reading Shatter Me right now, or that might have been last month. I don't know, but either they're doing this one right now or it's gonna be the book read. Gosh, either they're doing this one right now or this is the book they're gonna be reading next month. Either way, pretty soon they're gonna be doing a live stream talking about To Best the Boys by Mary Weber, and it sounded like a really interesting story to me and like right up my alley of the kind of things I enjoy. So I'm excited to read that and then watch their live stream about it so I can hear them chat about their thoughts on the book as well. The next audiobook on my list is also a Booksplosion pick, and that is The Princess and the Fangirl by Ashley Poston. This is one that has been on my list for a while as well because it sounds interesting to me, and they're going to be reading this book as well for the Booksplosion book club, which, by the way, if you're not familiar with it, go look up Booksplosion book club on YouTube because it's really fun. It's Jessie the Reader, Kat from Catty-tastic, and I'm sorry, I really don't remember the name of the other girl because I haven't watched her channel before, but yeah, it's three pretty big booktubers here on YouTube. They have gotten together and started a book club, and basically they read a book every month and we can all read along with them, and then at the end of the month they do a live stream where they chat about the book and they answer your questions and stuff, and you can join in the conversation, and it's really fun. Unfortunately, last time when I tried to join, I forgot what day the live stream was gonna be, so by the time it came up, I hadn't finished reading the book yet, and the book was Two Can Keep a Secret by Karen M. McManus, which is a mystery, a murder mystery. So there's no way I was gonna like watch the live stream and join the chat before reading the book because it would totally be spoiled and I would find out who the murderer is and everything. So unfortunately I couldn't join when it was live, so I didn't get to participate in the conversation, but I did watch the live stream later and it was still really fun to hear them chat about their thoughts on a book that I had just read, and my thoughts were fresh as well. So it's a really great idea. Super fun that the internet has allowed us to do things like this, like a book club with a bunch of people all across the world. Is so cool. The next audiobook on my list is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. This is, again, one that I've heard great things about, and it sounds really fun, and I can't wait to listen to that one. And finally, the very last audiobook I have on my list is Cinder by Marissa Meyer, and this one is sort of my audio pick of trying to expand my horizons, because this is not really my typical genre. From my understanding, it's kind of like a fairy tale retelling with some, I don't know if you'd call it supernatural elements. I think she's like a cyborg or something. I don't know. It's a little bit like fantasy sci-fi-ish elements to it, which is not usually my thing, but it's something I'd like to try to enjoy. So I figured that would be a good one to try, because there are I think two other books in that series after that. So if I enjoy it, then I have 2 more books to read. Next up are my 4 nonfiction picks, the first of which would be Quiet by Susan Cain. Susan Cain. This is a book I've been wanting to read for a super long time, because I am totally an introvert and it sounds really interesting to me. I love psychology. I love like learning about, I love the idea of like, well, actually, I don't really love the idea of like labeling people or labeling yourself, but it is really interesting to explore the difference between introverts and extroverts, and, you know, the different personality types, and it just helps you to understand yourself and others better. And I've been dying to read that for like years, and I still haven't picked it up, so I'm gonna do it this time. After that, I have Scrappy Little Nobody by Anna Kendrick. This is a book I got for Christmas actually a couple years ago, and I still haven't read it, so I'm excited to read that. And I have The Magnolia Story by Chip and Joanna Gaines. This is a book that I have already read like half of. Oh, I took my bookmark out. I don't know, I think I read about half of it, but I want to just start it over and read it again and actually finish it, because this is such an amazing story. It is a nonfiction story, but it's also just like a really sweet, awesome romance. Like, they are so freaking adorable together, and their story is like, I mean, it's like a fairy tale romance. Like, someone could write a fictional romance novel with this exact plot, and it would be epic and awesome and fun to read. So yeah, I remember really enjoying this book. I just put it down and never picked it back up again, and haven't finished it yet, so I'd like to finish it. And then for my 4th book on the list, originally I had put How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, but I'm actually reading that book right now, and I'm gonna try to finish it before May, because I don't want to go into May like finishing half of a book that I've already started. So I want to start fresh at the beginning of the month. So I'm going to try to finish that book within this next week of filming this. So I had to pick something else, and for that I picked Child Free and Loving It by Nikki DeFago. This is a book I picked up at my library book sale, and it's just, I mean, title speaks for itself. I just thought it would be interesting to read as someone who's not sure if I want to have children. I thought it would be interesting to hear the perspective of someone who hasn't had children and enjoys that, because that's not something people, there's like kind of still a big stigma against like women choosing to not be mothers, and I would like to read this woman's story and see what her thoughts are on the subject. So that concludes the nonfiction section, and next up we have the 8 hard copies that I'd like to read with my eyes. Number 1 is The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. This is a book I've been wanting to read for a long time because I absolutely adored the movie. It's one of my favorite movies. I actually haven't seen the movie in a really long time, which is kind of nice, because when I read the book, I don't remember what happens in the movie at all. I just remember that I loved it. So I'm excited to read this, and then maybe I'll watch the movie again after I'm finished with it. Then I have The Time Traveler's Wife by, what is her name? Audrey Niffenegger, if that's how you say that. I picked this up at Goodwill, I believe, because it was super cheap and it sounded interesting. So I'd like to read that. I kind of want to read some of the books that I've had on my physical shelf for a while that I still haven't read, so I can decide if I want to keep them afterwards or if I want to pass them on to the library. And we have Sleeping Murder by Agatha Christie. I wanted to read an adult novel because, again, expanding my horizons. I read like a lot of YA and I thought it would be fun. I have read some adult mysteries and I do really like them, so it's not like a super big stretch to expand my horizons with this one, but I really have been wanting to read Agatha Christie for a while because I know she's an amazing author. She's my mom's favorite author. My mom's read like almost probably everything she's ever written and she loves her. So I think it'd be really fun to enjoy Agatha Christie with my mom and get to talk to her about her books. And if I like this one, then obviously there is a whole lot more where this came from. And this was the book that my mom decided. I just had her pick which one she wanted me to read first, and she thought that I would enjoy this one. So I'm gonna go for it. Next on the list is a title that I own on ebook, and that is The Bet Between Us by B.L. Moore. Brandon is a buddy of mine on Instagram, and he's commented on a lot of my YouTube videos as well, so you might have seen him down there in the comments. And his book, The Bet Between Us, it seems really fun and interesting and right up my alley of the kind of romance I enjoy. So I'm really excited to check that out, and I participated in a giveaway recently and won an e-copy of the book. So I'm gonna read it next month. Next we have Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. This is a book I've been wanting to read since the movie came out because I really, really liked the movie, and I think I've been wanting to read the book, but I don't want to listen to it on audio, which is kind of most of how I read these days because it's like what I have time for. But I feel like this book would really benefit from reading it slowly and kind of diving into the world really deeply, because it's kind of a complex visual of, you know, the world that they're inside the video game and stuff. So I think I'd enjoy this book more if I got to actually sit down and read it instead of listening to it. So that's why I haven't picked it up yet, but I am really, really excited about that one. That might even be like one of the first ones I read. I don't know, we'll see. Then we have The Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold. This is a book, again, that I really loved the movie of. I loved the movie, and it's one of those movies that like you can tell that the book version of it is even better just by watching the movie, and like the poetic language. It's like oh my gosh, I can't talk today. It's definitely, I can already tell, gonna be like a great literary fiction piece that's just gonna be really beautiful to read and emotional. And I've been wanting to read it for a while, but it's one that's like, you're kind of not always in the mood for something that deep and heavy, but I'm gonna do it this time. I'm gonna finally read the book. And then last on my list is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. This is a book I've heard mixed feelings about, but mostly positive, I think. And again, this is one that I put on the list because I want to expand my horizons. I really want to try some fantasy novels, like in the YA genre, and this, of all the ones that I've heard of, this is the one that kind of stuck out to me the most as something I might enjoy. And I wanted to actually read it with my eyes again instead of listening to it on audio, because fantasy, as you all I'm sure know, like it kind of can be hard to really get your mind into that world if you're just listening to it, and things can kind of like slip by you. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a shot. I don't know if I'll like it because I historically have not really enjoyed a lot of fantasy things like movies and stuff. It's not my favorite thing, but there's so much fantasy out there right now, and I really want to love it because if I loved fantasy, then there would be like a million more books available to me to enjoy. So I want to give it a shot and see how it goes. So there you have it, everybody. That is my TBR for the month of May. Again, this is just sort of a loose outline. I do want to try to read all of these books, but if I like really hate one of them, I might DNF it, or if I don't have enough time as I thought to read all of these things, I might not get through the whole list, or if I have way too much time, I might read more after that. Who knows? You'll just have to stick around and follow my vlogs to find out. So that is it for this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and comment down below if you have any other recommendations for me. I don't really think I'm gonna be able to get through more than this list, but who knows, maybe I will. If you have any other recommendations, let me know. And if you'd like to follow me through my readathon this May, then make sure to subscribe and hit the little bell icon so you can be notified as soon as I upload. I'm gonna be putting up vlogs every Tuesday. I just finished all of my vlog series for NaNoWriMo, and now I'm officially moving into my readathon reading vlogs for the month of May. So I hope you all join me through that process and see how many books I can read when I give myself more time. I'm really excited about this because making it a challenge and also making it part of like my YouTube content kind of gives me an excuse to read a lot and not feel bad about it. I mean, I don't really feel that bad about reading a lot in general, but there are times, especially since I'm an author, where if I sit down to read a book, there's always that voice in the back of my head that's like, well, shouldn't you be writing instead of reading? Like, you know, it just kind of sometimes feels like a waste of time if I'm reading too much and not doing other things. So I'm excited to kind of intentionally give myself a whole month to just like super enjoy reading and just surround myself with books all the time, and it's gonna be wonderful. So that is it. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I will see you next Tuesday with my very first reading vlog. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see y'all next time. Have a great day. Bye.